What's up guys? My name is Christian Ace G Boobies and today I'm going to present to you real life word problems which is applicable to two different subjects, which is Introduction to Hypothesis Testing and Interpreting the Scatterplot. The start of the presentation would be real life word problems on the Introduction to Hypothesis Testing. Null and alternative hypothesis. First example, a transportation office claims that the average age of tricycle drivers in the Philippines is 39 years. In identifying the null and alternative hypothesis, you have to understand that in the example, it has already given the null hypothesis because it claims that the average age of tricycle drivers in the Philippines is 39 years. See, as the given. So the null hypothesis is this: the average age of tricycle drivers in the Philippines is 39 years. While the alternative hypothesis is the average age of tricycle drivers in the Philippines is not equal to 39 years. Because as stated earlier, it is different than the hypothesized value of the null hypothesis. I forgot to mention, in symbols, it can be presented as null hypothesis, population mean equal to 39, and null hypothesis, population mean not equal to 39. Second example, a school record claims that the average score of students in a 100-point examination in a science class is 81. So, by looking at this example, it is already obvious that the null hypothesis is that the average score of students in the 100-point examination in a science class is 81. While the alternative hypothesis is that the average score of students in a 100-point examination in a science class is not equal to 81. If presented in symbols, it will be presented as null hypothesis, population mean is equal to 81, and alternative hypothesis, population mean not equal to 81. Next example, the number of people that will fit in the arena is at most 20,000. By looking at the example, is completely different than the first and second example. By just reading the example, we can already identify that the null hypothesis is that the number of people that will fit in the arena is 20,000, while the null hypothesis is the number of people that will fit in the arena is less than 20,000. If expressed in symbols, it will show null hypothesis, population mean is equal to 20,000, while alternative hypothesis, population mean is less than 20,000. Moving on to the next subject, interpreting the scatterplot. The next examples will be covering real life word problems on how to interpret a scatterplot. Real life situations related to the introduction to hypothesis testing, a topic that will be covering which exposes different examples or shows different examples on the how to interpret a scatterplot and identify the correlational relationship. Scatterplot and identifying the correlation. If you were to ask what is a scatterplot, it is a graph that models the relationship between one or two variables. First example, a boutique owner wants to know how a 3-day sale would impact the number of visitors that stop by her newly opened store. The scatterplot shown below shows the days of observation and the number of visitors that stop by her store on the respective days. With the given data, we can identify that the X values are days while the Y values are the number of visitors. If we were to plot it into a graph, as shown here, we are to see a certain relationship or linear pattern. As the days increased, the number of visitors decreased. So, in conclusion, the number of visitors increased during the 3-day sale and decreased when the sale ended. Therefore, it is a negative linear correlation. Next example, 6 students take both science and math subject tests in University of the Philippines or UP to apply for a scholarship for college. The table shows the scores that the 6 students scored in both subjects. With the given data set, we can identify the names of the students and our x and y values, which is science and math. Science, which is our x values composed of 10, 17, 26, 35, 44 to 50. Math, our y values ranges from 30 to 92. And if we were to plot the values on a graph, we are to see a certain linear pattern or linear pattern on the graph. As the science scores increased, math scores also increased. So, the scores in math and science are increasing. Therefore, it is a positive linear correlation. Next, final example. After the end of the final exams in the first semester of St. Afram, the total number of students in the section is 44. When the marks of the students were tallied up, their statistics exam was given a diverse of different marks gotten from the students. The subject teacher wanted to identify what correlation would result between the given data of marks and students. And this is our given data. Our x value shows the number of students, while our y values shows the marks obtained. And if we were to plot the x and y values, we are to see a linear pattern. Again, as the number of students increased, the marks obtained decreased. So, as seen from the graph, clearly only a few students had gotten high marks in the statistics exam in the finals, implying a negative correlation between the two variables here. And that will be the end of our presentation. So, thank you again for your time. Hopefully, you'll be able to apply the real-life word problems and easily identify the null and alternative hypothesis and identify the linear correlation of a given data set if plotted in a scatter plot. And again, thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.